uh, bending stresses in beams. Bending stresses in beams. So I already told you. So we have two types of stresses in our strength of material. That is normal stress, and second one is shear stress. So here I am telling about the bending stress in beams. So actually, if we apply any type of force on a beam, there are different types of stresses will develop inside the beam. That is nothing but first one is a normal stress, and second one is nothing but shear stress. So if you take any point on the beam, there must be two types of stresses. So please take care of this one, right? So here I am telling about the only bending stresses. Why? Because we are going to neglect the shear stresses. So sometimes the bending stresses always, sometimes the bending stress always greater than the shear stresses, or sometimes the shear stresses are greater than bending stresses. So here I'm going to consider bending stress always very greater than shear stresses. So we are going to neglect the shear stresses in beams. Then we are going to consider only bending stresses. So it is named as bending stresses in beams, or it is also named as pure bending. Why? Because there is no shear stresses. That is only assumption. There must be a shear stress in the beam. We can find it the shear stress also. But here we are going to discuss about only bending stresses in beams completely. Okay. All right. So so here, if you take any beam which is subject to different types of loads, that is nothing but a point load, that is nothing but a point load, and the second one is UDL, and the third one is UVL. So if you take at any point on the beam, for example, if you take a cantilever beam which is subject to any type of load, so that is for example, if you take a point load, so it is said to be under bending or it is said to be under deflected. So if you take at any point, so if you take at any point on the beam, I want to find the what is the value of bending stress. So where it is maximum, where it is minimum. So where the stress is maximum at that point, this material goes to fail. So I want to find the so where we are getting the maximum stress in any type of beam when the beam is subject to any type of load. So here we are going to take this point so in consideration, that is bending stress is always greater than shear stresses. So here we are going to neglect the shear stresses. We are considering only bending stresses. So here we are going to find what is the strength of the beam, what is the maximum stress, where the stress is maximum and where the stress is minimum. So at the same time, we are going to draw the bending stress distribution for different types of cross section of the beams. We are using different types of cross section of the beams. So we are going to draw the bending stress distribution. Now listen carefully what I am saying here. So first of all, we are going to find what is the maximum bending stress in the beam when the beam is subject to so a point load or any type of load. So listen carefully now. That is the first point. That is I'm going to write it here. That is a maximum bending stress where we are getting here now. And the second one, we are going to find you what is the strength of the beam. That is nothing. What is the strength here? Strength is nothing but internal resistance force of the material. That is also named as moment of resistance. So we are going to find the M value. It is also named as moment of resistance. So moment of resistance. So moment of resistance. So I want to find the moment of resistance here. After finding the moment of resistance, I can compare the different types of cross section of the beams. So which beam having more strength, which beam having less strength when you apply the same amount of load. I can compare easily if you know the what is the moment of resistance of the material. And the third one, we are going to find the what is the bending stress distribution across the cross section. So that is nothing but so bending stress distribution. So bending stress distribution. So these are the 3 points we are going to learn in our bending stresses in beams. As same as in our shear stress in beams also, we are going to discuss about the 3 points. What is the maximum shear stress? What is the moment of resistance? And at the same time, we are going to find what is the shear stress distribution in the beam. So here, if you want, for example, if you want to find the bending stress in a beam, first of all, we are going to take some assumptions. So those are very important in the analysis of bending stresses. First of all, I'm going to give the what are the assumptions we are going to take in designing of bending stresses in beams. So after that, I'm going to explain so how to calculate the bending stress, how to calculate the moment of resistance, how to calculate the bending stress distribution diagrams. In different types of beams, that is nothing but beam with the uniform strength, beam with the varying cross section, and beams are nothing but composite beams. There are different types of beams there. So we are going to find the what is the maximum bending stress in that beam. So listen carefully. So first of all, I'm going to give what are the assumptions we are going to take in the design of bending stresses in any type of beam, which is subject to different types of loads here. So here, all of you take care about this. I am telling you about the bending stress in beam. Only here we are going to consider what are the bending stresses in the beam only. It is also named as a pure bending. So here we are going to neglect the shear stresses, but shear stress are not zero. Not zero. There must be some value of shear stress. So here we are going to discuss only bending stress and beam. So before going to design the bending stresses in a beam, I'm going to give some assumptions which are taking in the design of beams under bending. First one, the material should be homogeneous and isotropic. So first point I'm going to give you. So first one is homogeneous and isotropic. The material should be homogeneous and isotropic. What is homogeneous here? So if you take at any point on the beam, for example, if you take this is the beam, so if you take any part, this is the one part, this is another part, this is another part. If you take any part, so the composition is same at every part along the length of the beam. So then the beam is said to be homogeneous along the length of the beam. What is isotropic? What is isotropic means elastic properties. What are the elastic properties here? What are the elastic properties here? That is nothing but end modulus, shear modulus. So those are the elastic properties. So these properties are same. So along x direction, along y direction, along z directions are same. Then the material is always named as isotropic material. So this is the first point we are going to consider in the designing of beams which are under bending. First one is material should be homogeneous and material should be isotropic. Or get it? Right. And the second one, I'm going to give it to you. So if you take any material, if you take any material, that material must be in elastic limit. So that means if you take any material, that material follows Hooke's law. So the material must be follow, should be follow Hooke's law. So what is Hooke's law? What is Hooke's law? All of you know that. So Hooke's law is stress is always directly proportional to strain within the elastic limit. So the material must be in elastic limit and it always follows the Hooke's law. Or you got my point or not? So there are different types of materials, non-homogeneous, anisotropic materials. But here we are going to consider homogeneous and isotropic and the material should be follow Hooke's law. So 2 points is clear. So if you want to design the bending stresses in beams, these are the assumptions we are going to take it. And the third one, for example, if you take any beam, if you apply the, for example, if you take any beam, so this is the cantilever beam, which is subject to a point load or any type of load, the transversal section, if you take the section may be in the rectangular cross section, or it may be a square cross section, it may be circular cross section. So before application of this force and after application of this force under bending, so there is no any change in the cross section. That is, there is no change in transversal cross section before and after application of the bending force. So what is the third point here? The transversal section is remains same after and before and after application of the bending force. So here I am writing here transversal section. Section is same, that is, there is no any change in dimension of this transversal section, is same before and after, before and after the application of force, application of force, right? So these are the 3 points is all. One is homogeneous and isotropic, and the second one is material should be follows the Hooke's law. Under the transversal section, it may be any form, that is a rectangular section and circular section or whatever the cross section we can take it. the section remains same. So there is no any change of four dimensions. Then uh, it is taking an assumption, but actually if you apply the external force, there must be a change in dimension. But here we are taking the assumption here, the cross section or transverse section is remains same before and after application of the force. This is assumption only. Okay. So listen carefully. And the third one is nothing but, so if you take a, fourth one, if you take any layer, I'm going to write it here. Here I'm going to write it. The fourth one. So here I'm going to write the fourth one. So if you take any layer, so for example, if you take this is the beam, which is subjected to a bending force like this. So this is one layer, this is another layer, this is another layer. There are different types of layers in a material. So here, if you apply some external force, so what I'm saying here, so there must be changes in each layer. There must be changes in each layer. So what I'm saying here we are going to assume, we are going to take the assumption here, each layer of the beam, I am telling here clearly, each layer of the beam is to free, expand or contract independently. So these layers can expand or contract independently. So with the layer which is above or below it. So if you take one layer, so this layer is above this layer and this layer is below this layer. These layers are free to expand or contract. So above this layer or below this layer. For example, if you take this one is a neutral axis. So there is no any expansion, there is no any contraction of the neutral axis. I will give the explanation later. So above that layer, below that layer, so there is these are the fibers. They must be free to expand or contract. That is the assumption we are going to take it. So they are free to expand, right? That is the fourth one. And the fifth one is nothing but we know the elastic constant, that is Young modulus. Young modulus. So Young modulus is remains constant. Is remains constant in tension or compression. For example, if you take this is the beam which is subject to a bending force. For example, I have taken this one is the neutral axis and this portion is under tension and this portion is under compression. All of you know very well. This is under tension. I will give the explanation later also. This is this below portion below the neutral axis. It is said to be under compression. So what I am saying, in the region of tension, in the region of compression, there is no change in Young's modulus. That is the assumption we are going to consider here. So this is the fifth assumption we are going to take it. So here, these are the assumptions we are going to take it to design the bending stresses in beams, or we can design the beam which is subject to bending stresses. So we can easily. So what is the first one here now? Material should be isotropic and homogeneous, and second one is it follows Hooke's law. And third one is before and after application of the external force, there is no any change in transversal section. And all the layers which is above the neutral axis are free to expand or contract. And Young modulus in tensile region or compressed region must be constant. So these are assumptions we are going to consider in the design of beams which are subject under bending force. Okay. I hope you understand these points. After that, I'm going to give it how the beam is bend and how to find the value of stress and where the stress is maximum. And I want to write the relation between the bending stress and moment of resistance and radius of curvature of the beam. I'll give the explanation one by one. So listen carefully here. So these are the assumptions. So please take care about those assumptions. I'm giving clearly. So take care about those points now. So now I'm going to explain about so how to find the bending stress in a beam when the beam is subject to bending load. So here I am taking one example here. So listen carefully here. So this is the beam. This is the beam which is subjected to a bending load. So this is the bending load which is perpendicular to the cross section. And this one is I am taking here neutral axis. I will explain you what is neutral axis. Neutral axis. This point is A and this point is B. This point is C. This point is D. And give the brief explanation about the how to find the bending stress in a beam at any point. So where the beam is subject to bending stress, like. So this is the length of the beam here. So I'm writing here dx. So here I'm going to consider a small elemental layer, or it is also named as a small elemental area, which is having a length of dx, which is at a distance of y from the neutral axis. Y is nothing but distance of the small elemental area from the neutral axis. So here, what is neutral axis? So if you apply the force, which is normal to the cross section of the beam, then beam is bending in this direction. So listen carefully. So this is the bending of the beam here. So this is the bending of the beam after application of the external force. Before application of the external force, this is the position. After application of the force, this is the position of the beam. Now here I'm going to take this one is E and this one is F and this one is P and this one is Q. PQ is nothing but elemental area of cross section or elemental area, and EF is nothing but neutral axis. Now first of all I'm going to explain what is neutral axis. Listen carefully. If you apply the bending force here, this layer is under compression. This is the top layer which is under compression. This is the bottom layer which is said to be under tension. So this is the neutral axis. So I'm going to give how to draw the neutral axis. Now, what is the compressive stress? What is the compressive stress about this point? What is the compressive stress about? What is the compression about? What is the tensile here? What is the tension here? Maximum. What is the compression here? Maximum. So what is the tension here? Reduces, 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 reduces. And the compression is also reduces. At a particular point, there is no tension, there is no compression in a material. So this is the point, this is the point, this is the point, this is the point. These are all the points where uh, the tension and the compression becomes zero. These points are named as neutral points. These points are named as neutral points. If we join all the neutral points, we get a line. That line is named as neutral axis. That line is named as neutral axis. So if you observe that, so above the neutral axis, we are having one region. Below the neutral axis, we are having another region. In this region, we are having entire compression. In this region, we are having entire tension. So this is compression region, this is tension region. So at that point, there is no tension, there is no compression, then this axis is always named as neutral axis. What is neutral axis? If you join all the neutral points, we get a line. That line is named as neutral axis. Is it right or not? So at that point, there is no bending stress, there is no tensile stress, there is no compressive stress. All of you clear about that point? I think you understand that thing very clearly. Now here we are having compression is maximum. Here we are having tensile is maximum. So if you extend this flanks here, so if you extend this line here like this, so if you extend this line like this, so these two are intersected at one point. So this point is nothing but O. And this is the diagram before application of the external force. And this is the layer after application of the external force. This is the layer after application of the external force. Now, what is the difference between these two diagrams? In the previous diagram, that layer elemental area is a straight line, but here this elemental area is in the form of a arc, is in the form of a curve. Is it right or not? So what is the distance between these 2 points? Distance between these 2 points is nothing but y. All of you know it. That is the distance of any elemental area from neutral axis. So here, so this is the point. So if you draw one line from the point to this neutral axis, so that one is nothing but r. R is nothing but radius of curvature of the beam. The radius of curvature of the beam. This is nothing but theta. This is nothing but theta. Now here, I want to find what is the bending stress in this element. I want to find how much bending stress is induced in that small elemental area. If you know it, I can use that equation, then I can find the where the bending stress is maximum, where the bending stress is zero or minimum, we can find very easily. So that I am taking, this is the neutral axis after bending, that is E dash, and I am writing here F dash. Here is E and F, here is E dash and F dash. But here this one is P dash and this one is Q dash. Initially we are indicating here P and Q here. So this is the diagram before application of the bending force. This is the diagram after application of the bending force. So see the clear difference between these two. Okay. Now here I want to find the stress. If I want to find the stress, initially the beam undergoes under strain. So once the body is subject to any external force, the body must be under strain. So first of all, I want to find you what is the strain in the elemental area. After finding the strain in the elemental area, after that I can use the Hooke's law. Why? Because we are going to take assumption that material must be follows Hooke's law. So that I'm going to use the Hooke's law. I can write the relation between the stress and strain. So then I can find the what is the value of stress. So first of all, I'm going to find the strain in this elemental area. Or you got my point or not? I want to find the strain in this elemental area by the application of the external force. After finding the strain, I can use Hooke's law. I can find the stress value. Now, how to find the strain here? We know that strain is equal to change in dimension by original dimension, or we can write so change in length by original length. So we can write anyway. So original length. So we can write simply change in dimension to original dimension. That is nothing but strain value. So here tell me what is the initial length of the element. So here I am writing very clearly. So listen carefully. So here I am writing very clearly. So here what is the initial length here? So initial length is equal to how much dx. It is also is equal to how much? So pq. So it is also is equal to PQ here, PQ, and the length is nothing but dx. Or you got it? Right. And the second one is what is the final length? What is the final length? Final length, this is not as a flat, it is in the form of a curve. So how to find the length of the curve here? So how to find the length of the curve? It is a curve. So length of the curve is always defined as r into theta. What is the r here? So what is the arc length here? Arc length is always equal to r into theta. So here, what is the radius from this point to this elemental area? That is, I'm going to write it r plus y into theta. That is the value of final length of the element. So here I'm going to write here after application of the external force, what is the length of the neutral axis here? Length of the neutral axis initially is nothing but E and F. After application of the external force, that is E dash into F dash, is also is equal to PQ, is also is equal to how much? PQ. Or you got my point or not? Is also is equal to how much? PQ. Listen carefully. So here it is this neutral axis also in the form of curve. The neutral axis is also in the form of curve. Is it right or not? Or you got my point? I got my point on that. So this is also in the form of curve. So what is the length of the neutral axis here? So length of the neutral axis is also is equal to before and after application of the external force. Then I am writing here r into theta. So this is up to this one is the radius is r and this one is theta. That is r theta. So here EF, E dash, F dash, PQ must be is equal to r theta. So that is the initial length of the element. So here I'm going to write what is the change in length here. I want to write it here. What is the change in length of the element? So here I'm writing change in length. Change in length is nothing but final length minus initial length. All of you know very well. What is the final length here? R plus y into theta minus r theta. If you expand it, r theta plus y theta minus r theta, these two are cancelled, then we can get y theta. Okay, simple thing now. So that is the y theta. So this is the change in length. What is the meaning of strain here? What is the meaning of strain here? Tell me now. What is the meaning of strain here? Strain is always equal to, that is epsilon is equal to change in length by original length. What is change in length? Y theta. Original length is r theta. That is nothing but r theta. Both are cancelled. Then epsilon is equal to y by r. But according to your Hooke's law, so this material follows Hooke's law according to our assumption. So that is material is always belongs to elastic material. Then here, according to Hooke's law, stress is directly proportional to strain. Then if you remove the proportionality, we can put a constant that is nothing but Young modulus. Then strain is equal to how much? That implies strain is equal to stress by Young modulus. Are you got it or not? Then here I'm going to write it very clearly. So, so I'm going to write it very clearly here. That is in place of epsilon, I'm going to write sigma by E in is equal to y by r, or I'm writing sigma by y is equal to how much? E by r. So this is nothing but bending stress. Sigma b is nothing but bending stress. E is Young modulus. Y is nothing but distance of any point on the beam from the neutral axis. R is nothing but radius of curvature of the beam. Or you got it or not? I hope you understood this one now. So now here, so this is the one relation we are getting between the sigma b and E and Y and R. Now here, if you apply the bending force, if you apply the bending force, that is active or reactive, that is active force. We are applying externally. If you apply the bending force on this material like this, so this is named as external force. So this is the material which is also having some internal resisting force. Internal force. It is also named as internal resisting force. If you take any material, that material must be having internal resisting force. Internal resisting force. If you apply active force, the material must be give some reactive force. According to third law of Newton's, every action there is equal and opposite reaction. When this beam is set under equilibrium without any bending, that means the external force must be is equal to internal resistance force. Then there is no any bending of the beam. When this beam undergoes bending, if the external force is always more than the internal resisting force, then the beam goes under bending. Are you clear about this one? So P is equal to R, no bending. When P is greater than R, there must be bending. R is nothing but internal resistance force. Internal resistance force. So each layer of the beam gives some internal resisting force to the external force. If both are equal, there is no bending. So here I want to find what is the moment of resting of this material. How much resting force contained by the beam now. If you apply this force, this beam is said to be under bending. So I want to find what is the moment of resistance. There must be a moment. There must be a moment in beam. I want to find what is the moment of resistance of the beam against the applied force. I want to find it. So that I'm going to take one cross section of the beam. I want to take cross section of the beam line. This is nothing but neutral axis. This is nothing but neutral axis. Listen carefully. Very simple concept is bending stress and beam. So I am going to take a small layer on this cross section of the beam, which is at a distance of how much? Y from the neutral axis. Y is always distance of any layer from the neutral axis. That is meaning of Y. Okay, listen carefully. So this is the elemental area. I'm going to take as this is nothing but dA, or we can write A also, small elemental area A. Now, this material also gives some resting force by the application of the sectional force. I want to find what is the resting force under bending by this elemental area. What is the resistance of this elemental area gives against the applied force. I want to find it. That is also named as moment of resistance of this elemental area. What is the moment here? Moment is nothing but force into perpendicular distance. What is the force here? Which force is acting? Bending force. So I know that I am writing bending force into perpendicular distance is nothing but y. I want to find the bending force. So by using this relation, according to bending equation, sigma b is equal to E by R into y. So sigma b is nothing but Sigma b is nothing but F by A, Fb by A small a is equal to E by R into Y. Then Fb is equal to how much here? I'm going to write directly. Fb is nothing but E by R into Y into A. Into how much? Again Y. So here, this is the moment of resistance. Moment of resistance of small elemental area. If you want to find it, that is nothing but dm. moment of resistance of small elemental area. I want to find the what is the moment of resistance of the total area of cross section. So I'm going to integrate on both sides. Then I'm going to write here m is equal to integral of e by r into a into y square. And again I'm writing here e by r is constant, integral of area into distance square. So area into distance square is always equal to second moment of inertia. So that I'm going to write it as m is equal to E by R into I, or I can write m by I is equal to E by R is equal to sigma B by Y is the standard equation to find the bending stress in a beam at any point where the stress is maximum, where the stress is zero. After that, we can draw the bending stress distribution across the cross section of the beam here. At that point, there is no stress in the form of tension or in the form of compression. So at that point, we are having one type of stress. Here we are having one type of stress, whether it is tensile or compressive. I want to find what is the maximum compressive stress, what is the maximum tensile stress. So where it is maximum, where it is minimum, we can find it very easily by using this relation. Or you got my point or not? This is also named as standard equation for bending of the beams. So here, by using this equation, we can solve any type of problem. So I'm going to write this is the standard equation. So for bending stresses in beams. So in the entire bending stress and beams, we are going to use only one and only equation. That is, I'm going to write it here. M by I is equal to, so sigma B by Y is equal to how much? E by R. So this is the equation we are going to use to solve any problem. Or you got it all? So here, now I'm going to give it to you one more point here. So listen carefully. So that is, first of all, I'm going to give it to you. So there are different types of cross section of the beam. That is triangular, rectangular, I section. So there are different types of cross section of the beams also. So here, if you take any cross section, I want to find the what is the moment of resistance of the beam. That is nothing but strength of the beam. I want to find what is the strength of the beam. Or you got my point or not? So do you know about what is neutral axis? So here neutral axis is nothing but at which point there is no tensile stresses, there is no compressive stresses. So that point is named as neutral point. So if you join all the neutral points, we are getting the neutral axis. So on the neutral axis, there is no any type of stresses. So take care about those points now. Now here, for example, if you take one body here, this is a cross section of the board, cross section of the beam. This is a square cross section. So this is a symmetrical about X and Y. The symmetrical body. So for symmetrical body, we are finding the center of gravity. We can find very easily center of gravity of the material cross section of the bodies. So neutral axis for a symmetrical body always passing through center of gravity, center of gravity. So this is the neutral axis. So if you take this one is a rectangular cross section. So this is a neutral axis. So this is the center of gravity. So through center of gravity, the neutral axis is always passing. These are nothing but symmetrical bodies. So if you take any unsymmetrical body, if you take unsymmetrical body, for any unsymmetrical body, if you want to draw the neutral axis, if you want to draw the neutral axis, so first of all, first find centroid, centroid of the section, centroid of the section. Listen carefully. What I'm saying here. So for unsymmetrical sections, is it right or not? For unsymmetrical section, so we are going to find first of all what is the centroid of the section. Okay. So otherwise we are going to find what is the center of gravity of the section. If once we find the what is the center of gravity and center of gravity of the unsymmetrical section, then through that point this neutral axis is passing. So are you clear about this one now here? So for any symmetrical or unsymmetrical, so for symmetrical it is always passing through center of gravity. So for unsymmetrical we are going to find what is the centroid. So through these points the neutral axis is passing. So first of all, you have to find the centroid. Through that, we are going to draw the neutral axis now. So we can draw the very easily what is the neutral axis for symmetrical and unsymmetrical bodies now. So after finding the neutral axis, we are getting two regions. One is a tensile region and one is said to be compression region. So after that, I'm going to give how to calculate the strength of the beam. So 2 points is clear. So this is the basic equation. It is also named as bending equation. It's also a bending equation. Another point is if you want to find the bending stress in a symmetrical or unsymmetrical body. For in case of symmetrical body, the neutral axis are passing through center of gravity. For unsymmetrical body also, we can find the center of gravity by using your mechanics, and we can draw through that point. We are going to draw the neutral axis here now. So anyway, first of all, we have to draw the neutral axis if you want to find the bending stress in any type of cross section of the beam. So are you clear about this? So if you want to find the bending stress in any cross section of the beam, whether it is symmetrical or unsymmetrical, first of all, you have to draw the neutral axis. After drawing the neutral axis, we are going to find the bending stress. So here, I'm going to explain next one is nothing but so strength of the beam. How to find strength of a beam. So how to find strength of the beam. Now listen carefully here. So we know the basic equation that is nothing but m by I is equal to sigma b by y. I am taking these two here. So then here I am writing m is equal to how much sigma b by y into I. So I can write here sigma b into how much z. So z is all of you know this is named as section modulus. Section modulus. Or got to my point or not? Section modulus. So now listen carefully. Here I am writing here m is equal to sigma b into z. So if you know what is the maximum stress, I know that what is the maximum stress in a material, whether it is mild steel or cast iron, under tension, under compression, under bending. I know that if you know the maximum stress value for any material, then m is totally depends on which value, z value. If you know the maximum bending stress in any material, after that, I want to find what is the strength of the beam. The strength of the beam is totally depends on Z value. Z is always named as section modulus. So I'm writing directly M is directly proportional to Z. So when the Z is maximum and I is also M is also maximum. So the moment of resistance of a material is always depends on section modulus of the material. Are you get my point or not? Are you got my point or not? Now tell me here. Please tell me, are you got it or not? So here, one more point I'm going to give it to you. So M is directly proportional to Z here. When the beam is subjected to, when the beam is subjected to any bending force. So here I'm going to give it one more point. So when the beam is subject to bending load, the transverse load by area, we are getting the bending stress. So here I'm saying bending stress at a point is directly proportional to its distance from the neutral axis. So here I am taking this is the beam. I am taking here this is the neutral axis. I am taking one point which is at a distance of y here. At that point we are having some bending stress. At every point we are having bending stress. What I am saying here, when there is a bending force on the beam, then the bending stress at any point is directly proportional to so distance from the neutral axis. So sigma b is directly proportional to y. Sigma b is directly proportional to y. Is it right or not? So here, if you observe this equation, moment of resistance is always depends on first one is I, or it is also depends on Z value. So M is depends on I, moment of inertia, or section modulus. Is it right or not? So here I'm going to give one small more point. So please remember this point now. So here the moment of inertia of the beam section does not depend upon its cross-sectional area. Does not depends on cross-sectional area, but it always depends on the position in relation to the neutral axis. So here, for example, if you take this is the beam here, this is the neutral axis. I am taking a small area here, So the moment of resistance is not depending on that area. So it is always depends on the distance from the neutral axis here. That is the disposition of the cross-sectional area now. Or you got my point or not? So take care about these 2 points. So for example, if you take the area very close to the neutral axis, then what is the stress in this area now? Tell me. So when the area is very close to the neutral axis, so this is the area which is away from the neutral axis. Neutral axis, in which area we are getting the more stress. At the neutral axis, the stress becomes zero, and this one is also having less stress. This elemental area is also having less stress. So stress is always maximum here, and stress is maximum at the bottom and top here. So the area which is nearer to the neutral axis having very less stress, so that there is no material required, that is no more material is required which is nearer to the neutral axis. So if you take this one, so if you take this one is the, for example, I want to give it to you, so listen carefully here. For example, I am taking a rectangular section. So here, this is a neutral axis. This one is the maximum stress here. So maximum stress here also. Here is also maximum stress. So here at the neutral axis, if you take this is the area, this is the area of this rectangular beam. On this area, the stress is minimum. I have already told you. So here is stress is maximum. Here is stress is minimum. So it is maximum. At this point, at first stress is maximum. So the area which is nearer to the neutral axis, which is having less stress here. So I want to remove some material. So here I'm going to remove some material like this. So we are going to save some material, and stress is maximum at this point, and stress is maximum at this point. So by taking the concept of this the strength of the beam, we are going to save the material here. Why? Because the stress is always goes on increase from the neutral axis to top layer and bottom layer. So the area which is nearer to the neutral axis having very less stress here, so that less material is required at the neutral axis, and we are going to provide the more material in the extreme fiber of this cross section of the beam now, that is top and bottom fibers. So maximum stress, so where the stress is maximum, at that point we are going to provide more material. So where the stress is maximum at the bottom, so at that point we are going to provide the maximum material here. So when the material is more, at the same time there must be increase in strength also. Is it right or not? So strength is always depends on section modulus. So here I am writing here. What is the what is the meaning of strength of section here? Strength of section is totally depends on section modulus here. Section modulus. So take care about those things now. So here I am writing one equation that is M is directly proportional to Z. So M is directly proportional to Z here. So listen carefully. By using this one, I can compare different types of cross section of beam. For example, I am taking a square cross section. For example, I am taking a rectangular cross section, and I am taking the circular cross section of the beam. I am taking three beams. All are made of same material. All are subject to same amount of load here. So all are subject to same amount of load. So, but which cross section having more strength? So that means which cross section of the beam is able to take this load. So we are applying the same load. We are applying the same load. Which cross section of the beam is more strong among the all the cross sections? So I want to find it that value. So by using this relation, I can compare the what is the moment of resistance of any two beams which are having two different cross sections. I can find very easily by using this relation. That is nothing but the strength of the beam. Or you got my point or not? Or you got it? So sigma B is also directly proportional. We can remember this one. Sigma B is also directly proportional to Y also. That is bending stress is always directly proportional to so distance of any point from the neutral axis. So we can remember those 2 points. Then we are going to solve any problem here. So here, this is the relation we are going to use to find the moment of resistance of any beam when compared to other beams now. So before going to find solving these some problems, I'm going to give it to you. So all of you know very well. So if you want to apply this one, M is equal to sigma B into Z formula. to find the what is the strength of the beam. So we have to find what is the Z value here, I by Y. So we have to find I values of different cross section of the beams. All of you know very well here. So most of the cases we are using rectangular cross section. So what is the I value? I value we know that. So I want to write this one. This one is B and this one is D. Then we can write I value is equal to how much? BD cube divided by how much? 12. And Z value is nothing but how much? I by Y. Y is always half of the section. This is a symmetrical section. This symmetrical section, the neutral axis passing through center of gravity. So this is Y is always equal to D by 2, half of the section, vertical depth. So we substitute here, we are getting here BD square by 2. So this is the value of section modulus of rectangular section. So as same as if you take a square section, circular section here, or if you take a circular section, so this is a circular section. That is the I value for circular section is pi by 64 into d power 4. That is the value of I value. And what is the Z value here? Z value is nothing but pi by 32 times of d power 3. So divided by Y. Y is nothing but d by 2 here. Here is also Y is equal to d by 2, half of the section. So this is for rectangle. This is for circle. So in case of square also we can write it. That is in square of in case of square also, we can write all sides are same and I is always equal to a power 4 by 12 and z is always equal to a power 3 by 6. So this is the way of calculation of moment of inertia and the section modulus of different of cross section. All of you know very well. Whenever this cross section of the beam is given, we can calculate very easily what is the I value and what is the z value. So for triangular section also, we know that very well. So this is the triangular section. So this is the neutral axis. So for this neutral axis, we are going to find the what is the center of gravity. So through this center of gravity, the neutral axis is passing. So here we are writing I value and Z value with respect to neutral axis with respect to base. So all of you know very well. So I'll give the those values in solving the problem. So take care about rectangular, circular, and a triangular, and the next one is I section, and next one is T section. There are different types of section of the beams we are using here. So take care about. So when you are solving the problems, I want to give you formulas also at the same time. So here, what are the cross section of the beams we are going to use here? So we are going to use here rectangular cross section, and the second one is circular cross section, and the third one is I section, and the fourth one is T section, and the fifth one is nothing but triangular section. So these are the cross section of the beams we are going to use. So if you take any cross section of the beam, when the beam is subject to a bending force, then we are going to find the what is the maximum bending stress and what is the moment of resistance. And next one is nothing but bending stress distribution across the beam. So these are the values we are going to find it. So we can form a table, then we can easily remember all the formulas in bending stress in beams. So here I'm going to give some problems. First of all, I'm going to give some problems on this equation, that is bending stress in beam. That is M by I is equal to sigma B by Y is equal to E by R. So how to solve some problems which are given in GATE examination as also. I will give some example problems which are same as given in GATE examination. So please take care about those problems now. Okay. Right. So listen carefully here. So this is the first example problem. So don't write any theory parts about the problem. I will give the explanation. So when I am solving the problem now. So here one square is given. A square beam is given. This is a square beam which is having all sides are equal. That is given as A. And these are the two axes, X and Y axis. So this is the axis of the square beam, which is a straight line, which is a horizontal line. Now I'm going to put this one is like this. So this one is I'm going to put like this. Is like this. That is nothing but. So this is the diagonal actually. So here the diagonal is horizontal here. This is the diagonal which is horizontal here. So these are also A and A and A and A here. Now here I'm going to give the question. Please take care about this. This one is asked in sometimes in competitive exams. So it is very easy to compare the strength of the two beams. So this is the beam which is having a square section, but diagonal is putting like this. So this is the beam which is having diagonal horizontal position. So if you design the beam like this, if you design the beam like this, which beam having more strength if you apply the same amount of bending force? If you apply same amount of bending force. So listen carefully here. So here, compare the moment of resistance of two beam. So the question is, so compare moment of resistance of two beams which are in two position. So diagonal is horizontal, so diagonal makes some angle here. So this is the angle of the diagonal, that is 45 degree. It is a horizontal. So here we are having both are made of same material. Both are made of same material. Both are follow Hooke's law. So those are the assumptions we are having. So how to compare this one? Which one is more strong and which one is less strong when two beams are given? We are putting like this. We are putting like this. Like this, I'm going to write the relation. M is directly proportional to how much Z. This is the strength of the beam. I'm going to compare the two beams. So here, M1 by M2 is equal to, I'm writing here Z1 by Z2. Z1 by how much? Z2. What is Z1 here? Z1 is, we know that very well for a square section. So Z1 is equal, this one is 1, this one is second diagram. Z1 is equal to how much? A power 3 by 6. That is very simple thing. So that is a power 3 by 6. Now I want to find the what is the value of Z2 here. So Z2 is equal to how much? I2 divided by Y2. I2 divided by how much? Y2. What is I2 here? So if you see this is one triangle, this is one triangle. First of all, find the what is the moment of inertia of this triangular section, half of the triangular section with respect to base, with respect to this neutral axis. So I am writing here I is equal to BH cube by 12. That is the moment of inertia of the triangular. So I am writing here I is equal to BH cube divided by 12. This is the height of this one. I want to find the height here. I want to find this height, total height, or up to this one also. Now tell me anyone here. So this one is diagonal and this one is diagonal here. This one is A and this one is A. Then I want what is the side of each one now? So if you take this one is nothing but the square root of A square plus A square, then we are getting here 2 times of A square under square root, then root 2 times of A we are getting. Divided by 2, we are getting so A by root 2. So this is A by root 2 and this is also A by root 2. That is the values of that is the value of this one and this one. Value of this one and this one. Vertical and horizontal lengths here. This is A by 2. This is A by 2. Totally nothing but root 2 of A or root 2A. Or you got my point or not? So here, what is the I value of this half portion? I value of this half portion, that is B into H cube by 12. So here, what the total I value here? The total I value here is it is into 2 times. It is into 2 times. Then how much we get it now? If I substitute all the values, P is nothing but base. This is the base. That is the base, total base. That is A root 2 or root 2 into A. So substitute all the values here. I am writing here A into root 2, A into root 2 into A by root 2 whole power 3 divided by 12 into 2 into 2. Then after substituting all the values, I am getting this value like this. So there is very simple thing here. That is M1 by M2 is equal to, so Z1 by Z2. Z1 is equal to how much? That is nothing but A power 3 by 6. A power 3 by 6 divided by, if you solve this one, so if you solve this one, I am getting, so I am getting, that is z value is equal to how much? So what is the I value we are getting now? Tell me here. I value I am getting here a power 4 by 12. A power 4 by 12. And what is z value? Z2 is equal to Z2 is equal to I2 by Y. So what is I2 here? I2 is nothing but A by A power 4 by 12 here. A power 4 by 12 divided by Y. What is Y value? Y value is nothing but half of this section. This is the section which is symmetrical about neutral axis. So what is the total height here? Total height is nothing but root 2A. Half of the section is nothing but A by root 2. So here I am writing Z2 is equal to A by 4 divided by 12 divided by A by root 2. A by root 2. Then I am getting M1 by M2 is equal to, then I am getting M1 by M2 is equal to, M1 by M2 is equal to, so A power 3 by 6 divided by, if you solve this one, I am getting A power 3 divided by 6 root 2. A by root 3, 6 root 2. Are you got my point or not? Okay. Right. So do you have any problem in solving the problem? Please ask me immediately. I'll give explanation. So here A by, so I'm getting the value here. M1 by M2 is equal to now is M1 by, that is M1 by M2 is equal to, I'm getting root 2. It is also is equal to 1.414. Now tell me, by getting that value, which beam having more strength when compared to these two beams? Now tell me anyone now here. So M1 is equal to how much? Root 2 times of M2. So this one is the beam which is having more strength when compared to beam which is placed diagonally horizontally. So when the diagonal is horizontal, that is very weak when compared to, so diagonal placed at an angle of 45 degrees here. So here, if you compare the moment of resistance of these two, this moment of resistance are always more than this one. So we are going to design the beam like this, not like this. So in this way, we can compare the two beams having different types of resisting forces. That is the moment of resistance. Now here, one more question I want to give it to you. So on this one, please try to solve that problem also. So many questions are there on the bending stresses. Now listen carefully here. So here, another example problem. If you have any problem in case of solving the problem, so please ask me immediately. I will clarify you. Okay. If you have any doubt, please ask me immediately. No problem. I will clarify each and every doubt. So here I am telling about, so another problem. This is the a circular log of wood. So this is a circular log of wood, which is in the form of circular section. So which is having a diameter of capital D, which is having a diameter of capital D. Now here I'm going to cut a rectangular section from this log of wood. I'm going to cut a rectangular section from this log of wood. I'm going to cut a rectangular section like this, vertically or horizontal also we are going to cut it. So I can cut this rectangular section horizontally or vertically from the log of wood. So here, so this is diagonal of the rectangular section. So the diagonal is equal to how much? D here, capital D. And this one is width of the rectangular section. This is the depth of the rectangular section. So this is the problem is given. So here a log of wood, from the log of wood, a rectangular cross section is cut for maximum strength. I want to cut the rectangular cross section from the circular log of wood for maximum strength. So my question is, so what are the dimensions of the, I'm writing the question, find the dimensions, find the dimensions for rectangular section for maximum strength, for maximum strength. So how to find it? So here I'm going to find it. What is the dimensions of the rectangular section to cut from a log of wood, but this section having maximum strength. If you want to find the maximum strength, we are having one relation for the bending equation. So I'm writing here, M is directly proportional to Z. So when Z is maximum, M is also maximum. So listen carefully here. Z is maximum, M is also maximum. I want to find what is the value of B and what is the value of D. That is the dimensions of the rectangular section. Are you got it? Right. So listen carefully here. I'm going to explain you how to find the dimensions for maximum strength of the beam now. So here, so I am writing here moment of resistance M is equal to sigma B into how much Z here. What is the Z value here? Z value is always equal to I by Y. That is sigma B into how much? I by Y. We can write anyway. So here M is directly proportional to Z. M is directly proportional to how much? Z. What is Z? When Z is maximum, M is also maximum. You know that. What is Z value? Z value is equal to how much for a rectangular section? For rectangular section. What is the Z value here? So BD square by 6. BD square by 6. So here I want to find the what is the value of width and depth of the section for maximum strength here. So want to find the maximum strength, what is the variables here now? So here I'm going to write one more relation from this triangle. From this triangle. So listen carefully here. I'm writing small d square plus b square is equal to capital D square. And a small d square is equal to capital D square minus b square. So we get the relation very easily. So here I'm going to write, I want to find the dimensions of this section. Then I'm writing z is equal to b into d square by 6 and b is into, what is the d square here? D square is nothing but I'm writing capital D square minus b square divided by 6 here. So if you see that equation, what is the variable in that equation here? So D is constant. Circular diameter of the wood is constant. So only variable is B. So I am converting in terms of B or in terms of small d also we can convert it as you wish, no problem. So if I want to find the maximum strength condition, I want to differentiate this value with respect to variable. So dz by dB must be is equal to how much? 0. That is for condition for maximum strength. So if we differentiate it, we are getting that is d square. So 6 is also constant minus b into b is b cube. That is nothing but 3b square is equal to 0. Then I am writing here 3b square is equal to capital D square. So b square is equal to d square by 3. And I am writing here b is equal to, so d by root 3. So this is the value of width of this section for maximum strength. Width of this section for maximum strength. Now I want to find the depth of this section. What is the depth here? Depth we are going to take the b value here and substitute here, then we can get the depth value. Then d square is equal to, so d square minus, what is the b value? That is d by or root 3 whole square. Then I am writing here, so d square into 1 by or root 3 whole square, that is 3 root 3 we are getting here. That is or root 3 all square, we are getting like this. Then I'm getting here square root of 2 by 3 times of capital D is the value of D here. Or you got my point or not? That is the value of D value. So this is the value of B, this is the value of D of a rectangular cross section which is cutting out from a log of wood which is having maximum strength. So if you want to find the strength of the beam, we can use the relation M is directly proportional to Z, and then we can compare the strength of any beam which are having different cross sections like this. Okay, right. So that is the one more problem on this. So both values are clear. So B is equal to how much? D by root 3 and D is equal to square root of 2 by 3 times of capital E. So these are the values of width and depth of this section. Okay, for which case? For maximum strength. So this is another problem on this maximum strength. So I want to give it to you one more another problem, another example problem. Please take care about those problem also. So here I want to give it to you. So please tell me what is the relation between the weights here. So three beams are given. So here I'm giving three beams. Three beams are given, which are having different types of cross sections here. So here, this one is a square cross section is given. This one is nothing but A. All sides are equal. Listen carefully. And next one is nothing but it is a rectangular section. Rectangular section. This one is nothing but 2B. And this one is nothing but B. And next one is nothing but a circular section. Circular section. This one is nothing but D. So these are the three types of cross sections are given. That is, all are made of same material. All are subject to same amount of bending force. So here I want to uh, find the ratio of weights of the beams. Weights of ratio of the beams. That is weight of these two and weight of these two, and write the total ratio also. Is it right or not? Right. So first of all, how to solve this one? All dimensions are given. This is A, and B, and 2B, and D is given. So first of all, you have to find the Z1, Z2. So first of all, I am writing M here. M is directly proportional to how much? Z. Here he is asking what is the ratio of weights. I am writing here weight of square divided by weight of rectangle is equal to weight of square beam by weight of the rectangle is equal. What are the weight here? M into G. We are writing here M into G of square divided by M into G of rectangle. Mass is nothing but density into volume into G. G both are cancelled here. Both are cancelled. Density into volume of square and density into volume of rectangle. So here densities are cancelled. Why? Because all are made of same material. And here volume is nothing but area into length divided by area into length of square and rectangle. The length is also same, but the area of cross section is different now. Area of cross section is different. So here, if want to compare the weights here, I'm writing here weights S divided by weight of rectangle is equal to area of square divided by area of rectangle. Area of square by area of rectangle. So find the areas of those two, then we can get the relation. What is the area of the square here? We are writing A square. What is the area of the rectangle here? B into 2B. That is nothing but so 2B square. If you want to find the ratio, then we can get if you have to find the relation between A and B. Then we get the relation between A and B. Then we can substitute. Then we can get the ratio between weights of solid and weight of rectangular also. As same as I'm going to write here, what is the ratio between rectangular and circular? Or we can write a ratio between, that is weight of square divided by weight of circle. Then I'm writing here area of the square divided by area of the circle. After that, I can write the what is the ratio of the three. Okay, what is the area of this square here is A square. And what is the area of this one now? What is the area of this one now? That is circle, that is pi by 4 into how much? D square, or we can write like this D square, or you got to point or not? Right. So I want to write the relation between A and B or A and D also. So if I want to write the relation between A and B and A and D, we are going to use the, what is the relation here? Yeah, Z value here. So I'm going to use Z value. By using Z value, I'm going to write the relations here. Now, what is the Z1 and Z2 and Z3 here? Now tell me here, what is Z1 What is Z1 here? It is a square. Z1 is nothing but a power 3 by 6. That is the first value. And next one is nothing but Z2. Z2 is nothing but what is this one? Rectangular. That is BD square by 6 here. B is nothing but B. D square is nothing but 2B square divided by 6 here. 2B square by 6 here. Then if you find it, we are getting here 2 by 3 times of B power 3. So this is the Z value, Z3, Z2 value. What is Z3 value here? Z3 value is nothing but pi by 32 into D power 3. I have already told you what is the I values, what are the Z values for different types of cross sections. Are you got it or not? So here I am writing what is the value of Z1. Z1 is nothing but a power 3 by 6. Here Z2 is equal to 2 by 3 times of B power 3. And Z3 is equal to pi by 32 into D power 3. So these are the values of Z1, Z2, Z3. Have you got it? Right. So now I want to write the relation between the. So I am give the explanation more now. Otherwise, we can substitute directly. We can get the answer directly now. So I want to find the relation between A and B and A and D also. So please try to solve it now. Okay. Right. So here I'm going to equating. So section modulus of 1 and 2. Why? Because here the sectional modulus for circular beam is pi by 32 into d power 3. So I'm going to equate 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. So both are made of same material. All are made of same material. So I'm going to equate Z1 is equal to how much? Z2. What is Z1 here? What is Z1 here? Tell me. So what is Z1 here? A power 3 divided by 6 is equal to how much? 2 by 3 times of B power 3. So here this is 2 times is cancelled. 2 times is cancelled. Then we are getting the relation between B and A. So I am getting the B is equal to 0.63 times of A. This is one relation. I'm going to equate Z2 and Z1 and Z3 also. I'm equating Z1 is equal to Z3 also. Section modulus of these two. Okay, right? So I'm getting this that is a power 3 by 6 is equal to how much? Pi by 32 into D power 3. Then I'm getting the relation between D and A also. So I'm getting D is equal to 1.19 times of A. So these are the relation between A and B and A and D. Now I'm going to substitute the ratios. Then we are getting the ratio line. So the first ratio here, tell me now. The first ratio here, tell me. That is Ws divided by Wr is equal to, so A power square divided by 2 times of what is B? 0.63 times of A. 0.63 times of A. A whole square. That is whole square. That is A square both are cancelled. We are getting some value. That is I am getting 1 divided by 0.79. Same as Ws divided by Wc is equal to how much value it is now? What is that value? The ratio that is nothing but a square divided by how much? WC, that is pi by 32 times of how much? D square. Then we can substitute D and A here. That is a square divided by pi by 32 times into what is D value? 1.19 into A whole square. Then we are getting a square both are cancelled. Then we are getting the ratio here. That is Ws divided by Wc is equal to 1 divided by 1.12. So this is the ratio between square and circular. This is the ratio between square and rectangular. So here what I am saying here, we can find very easily what is Z1 and Z2 and Z3 values. So at the same time, we are going to equate Z1 and Z2 and Z1 and Z3. So all are made of same material. So all are follows Hooke's law, and Young modulus are also same for all those materials. So here we can calculate in this way also, or another way also we can calculate the comparison between the moment of resistance of uh, square section, rectangular section, circular section also. So Here, I'm going to give you one more problem. So how to solve the moment of resistance or how to find the maximum stress here. Now here I'm going to give it to you another example problem. So please listen carefully here. So here I want to give it to you. Uh, this one is given in the gate examination. So please take care about that one. That is this one is the a circular rod is given. A circular rod is given which is having some diameter. A circular rod is given which is having some diameter. Okay, which is having some diameter. I am taking a steel strip which is having a cross section in the form of a rectangular, or we can take a copper wire also. So I am taking a copper wire here. So this is the copper wire. This is the copper wire which is in the form of circular and which is having a diameter is equal to, for example, I am writing 2 mm diameter. 2 mm diameter. So this is the circular bar or circular rod. So over the circular bar or rod, I'm going to wound the wire, copper wire. This is a copper wire. So copper wire. So here I'm going to take the copper wire. I'm going to wound this copper wire around this circular rod. So when you are wounding it, so it is the wire is under bending. So when the wire is under bending, it is having some stress value. So I'm going to draw the diagram like this. So this is the diagram. So this is neutral axis. So this is the diameter is equal to 2 mm. That is the cross section. I'm going to, this is the copper wire of 2 mm diameter is wounded around a circular rod or a drum, which is having some radius, which is having some radius. The stress in the there must be stress will be developed in the wire. That stress in the wire is given. That is stress in copper wire is given 80 megapascals. 80 megapascals. And the Young modulus of the copper is given. Young modulus of the copper is given 100 gigapascals. So this is the data is given. So here he is asking what is the radius of this circular rod. He is asking this capital R. Listen carefully here. So this is the drum or circular rod. So over the circular rod, I am taking a copper wire which is wounded over the circular rod. So when we are wounded over the circular rod, so this wire is under tension or under bending, so that we are going to take bending stress. That is the bending stress in the copper is not exceed to 80 megapascals, and Young modulus of the copper is given as 100 megapascals. So he is asking, what is the radius of the drum is, or radius of the rod or radius of the drum is asking now. So here, if you want to find the radius of the drum or a bending stress, whatever it is, so we can use the one relation, m by I is equal to sigma b by y is equal to how much? E by r. So these two are valid or these two are valid. Check it now. So if you use these two now, so what is the moment of resistance here? Moment of resistance is nothing but bending moment maximum. Bending moment maximum we can write it. So it is not a beam. It is not a beam. Simply we are taking the wire and this wire is wounded around the drum or rod. So here I'm going to here is we can find the I value, sigma b unknown value, m is unknown value, and y is known value. So here is two unknowns is there. So this relation is not valid. So if you take these two, that is sigma b by y is equal to e by r, and e is given, y is known, and r is we can find it, and sigma b is also given here. So here sigma b is also given, but m is not given. So we have to find the moment of resistance. We can equate these two. If you want to find the moment of resistance, we can equate these two. That is sigma b into z. Then we can find the moment of resistance. So, but here he is asking what the radius of the drum here. So I want to find the R value here. Okay, so this is the radius of curvature up to this one now here. This is the radius of curvature of the wire. So from this point, this point. So this one is up to this one is we know that. So this is a 2 mm diameter and this is a small radius that is nothing but 1 mm. So up to this one is 1 mm and up to this one is unknown value. So here radius of curvature is nothing but r plus small r. R plus small r. Okay, simply here and here a radius of curvature. A radius of curvature. Now I'm going to give it to you. So how to find that value here? So listen carefully. So here I'm going to use sigma b by y is equal to E by R. I'm going to use here sigma b by y is equal to E by R. Then I want to find the R value. R is equal to E by y, or we can write like this also. 1 by R is equal to, so sigma b into y into R. Now substitute all the values, then we are getting the required value. So I can write R is also is equal to y divided by sigma b into how much E value. So all values are given to you. So substitute those values, so then we are getting the required value. So I am getting R value is equal to 1.25 meters. I'm getting R value is 1.25 meters. So what is the Y value here? Y value is nothing but half of this cross section. Listen carefully. Y value is nothing but half of this cross section. What is this one? Y value is equal to D by 2 and 2 by 2 that is equal to 1 mm. So that is also Y value. So Y is known and E is known and sigma B is also known. Then automatically we can find the R value here. Okay. So that is the of our value of R radius of the drum here. So all of it clear here now. Okay. Right. So here I want to find one more problem on this one. Please try to calculate that one. I want to give one more problem. So another example. So this is the cantilever beam is given, which is having a cross section. This is a cantilever beam. It is having different types of cross section actually. So here we are using simple cross section, that is rectangular cross section, that is subject to a point load which is equal to 6 kilonewtons are given, and length of the beam is given some value, that is L is equal to 4 meters. L is equal to how much? 4 meter. This is the cross section which is in the form of a rectangle, and I'm going to give it to you the dimensions of the rectangle. It is 80 mm and it is nothing but 120 mm. So it is subject to a point load of 6 kilonewtons. So Young modulus of the material is also given. That is Young modulus of the material is given 2 into 10 to the power of Newton per mm square. So this is the Young modulus of the material. So these are the data which is given on this problem. It is a cantilever beam which is made of steel, that is having a modulus of 2 into 10 to the power of 100 per mm square, which is having a cross section of width is equal to 80 mm, depth is equal to 120 mm. So he is asking how to find the maximum bending stress in the beam. So question is find the sigma maximum, that is what is the maximum stress under bending. So here we are want to find that value. So how to find it? We know that I'm going to give the solution. We know that so m by I is equal to sigma b by y is equal to how much? E by r. So which relation is valid here? These two or these two? Check it now. So here if you apply these two now, so there is no value of r here. So here sigma b is also unknown value. So here how many variables? Four variables. Among the four variables, three variables are known. Then we can find the fourth variable. So if you take these three, this relation, that is m by I is equal to sigma b by y. Then I is known, y is known, sigma b we can find it, m we can find it. That is a maximum bending moment. So we can find it very easily. So according to our previous discussion, then M is known, I is known, Y is known, then I can find the sigma B value. So what is sigma B? Directly I can write here, sigma B is equal to M by Z value. M by Z value. So what is the value of M here? M is nothing but maximum bending moment. So what is the maximum bending moment here? See, listen carefully here. So here, moment of resistance or maximum bending moment, both are same. That is, moment is nothing but what the force here? Force into distance. That is the length. That is nothing but force is 6 kilonewtons and the length is 4 meters. So that is nothing but 24 kilonewton meter is the value of maximum bending moment. So here I'm going to write the maximum bending moment here. That is sigma B is equal to so M by Z. So M is equal to how much? 24 kilonewton meter is the M value divided by Z value is nothing but BD square by 6. That is 24 kilonewton meter divided by what is the B value? 80. 80 here. Then what is the D square here? D square is nothing but 120 whole square divided by how much? 6 here. So all are in millimeters. So I'm going to convert this one is also in millimeters. So I'm writing sigma B is equal to 24 into kilonewton into mm into 1000. So divided by 80 into 120 square divided by 6. If you solve it, then we are getting the required value. So this is the way of solving the what the maximum bending stress in any beam which is subject to different types of loads, whether it is point load or UDL or UVL. When the cross section is given, then we can use the general equation M by I is equal to sigma B by Y is equal to E by R. Then we can check it which relation is valid according to the given problem and given data. Then we can use that relation and apply all the data in the on that equation. Then we can get the required value. So this is the value of maximum bending stress value. Is it clear or not? Right. So I want to give one more problem on this. Please try to solve it. So I want to give it to you. This is also given GATE examination. So one time in civil engineering. So please take care about this problem also. Right. So this is another example problem. So I'm taking here. This one is nothing but a cantilever beam is given. Sorry, a simply support beam is given. So this is a simply support beam is given, which is subject to a uniform distributed load. It is a simply support beam which is subject to uniform distributed load. That is nothing but W per meter. That is intensity of load. That is W per meter. That is a W kilonewton per meter. Kilonewton per meter. Are you got it? Right. So this is the cross section of the beam. The beam cross section is given in the form of a rectangle. So height is given, that is 300 mm, 300 mm, and width is given, uh, length is given, the span length is also is given, that is equal to which is given 4 meters, and depth is given. And here, this is the, for example, maximum stress value is also given. Maximum stress, that is maximum bending stress is given. That is 120 megapascals. This is the depth is given. That is D is given. So here is, this is the data. And I value is also given. So I value is also given. I value for this one is given. So 225 into 10 to the power of 6 mm power 4 is given. So that is the I value for the rectangular cross section. So here, first of all, we are going to find the what is the value of B. After that, we are going to find what is the value of required question now. Now here I'm going to give it to you. So which value we are going to, what is the W, that is specific weight per meter, that is what is the load per meter which is acting on the beam. I'm going to find the small W value. So please tell me how to solve this question now. So find the small W value, specific weight, which is acting uniformly distributed over the entire length of 4 meters of the beam. Now, please try to solve it. This is a simply support beam which is subject to uniform distributed load for W per meter. That is W is in kilonewtons and per meter. So depth of this section is given is 300 and width is not given to you. and the maximum stress in the beam is given, that is 120 megapascals, and I values, moment of inertia is given for that. Then he is asking what is the small w value, how much load is uniformly distributed and the length of 4 meters. He is asking small w value. So now how to calculate this value now? Now tell me now here solution now. So I'm going to give it to you. So please take care about this one. Such type of problems are very important in case of competitive exam. So here, what is the y value first of all? What is the y value? Y value is always equal to d by 2. That is nothing but 300 divided by 2. Then we can get the 150 mm. It's clear now. All right. What is the z value here? Z value is equal to how much? I by y. So I is equal to, we are going to find I is given, that is 225 into 10 to the power of 6 divided by y is nothing but 150. That is in terms of mm. Then we are getting the z value is equal to 1.25 into 10 to the power of 6, 10 to the power of 6 mm power 3. So this is the value of z value, and this is the value of y. After finding the y and z, so I want to find the moment of resistance here. Moment of resistance. Why? Because we are having the standard equation, that is m by I is equal to how sigma b by y is equal to E by R. So here, which relation I can use here now? These two relations. So I'm going to find the I value is given. I want to find the moment of resistance here. M is equal to how much? M is equal to sigma b into Z. So sigma b is always maximum value. So when maximum value. So here, what is the sigma value is given? Z value is known. So I'm going to substitute here. That is 120 into 1.5 into 10 to the power of 6. You substitute it, then I'm getting the m value. That is 180 into 180 into 10 to the power of 6 on Newton mm is the value of moment of resistance. After finding the moment of resistance, maximum moment at the center of the simply supported beam subject to uniform distributed load. I want to find the maximum bending moment at the simply supported beam. So this one is over all of you. If you have any doubt, please ask me. I'll give the clarification again. So it is simple thing. We have to use these two relation. You can equate these two. Then we can find the sigma b is given and I is given. And y we know that d by 2, and we have to find the z value. Then we can find the moment of resistance. Then all values are known. But here, this is the moment of resistance. Then I'm going to find a W value. What the maximum? This is also is equal to how much? Maximum bending moment. So listen carefully here. This also is equal to moment of resistance. Also is equal to maximum bending moment here. So here, what the maximum bending moment value for simply supported beam, which is subject to a point load. Now, which is subject to uniform distributed load. Tell me here. So this one is nothing but uniformly distributed load, W per meter. So it is equal to W by 2, it is equal to W by WL by 2, WL by 2 for uniform distributed load here. So for this case, what is the value? So I told you in this case, at the center is moment is maximum. So bending moment maximum is equal to WL square by 8. That is nothing but we can take very simply. I told you in the last class also how to calculate the maximum bending moment for simply support beam, which is subject to point load, uniform distributed load, uniform varying load. I told you in the last class very clearly. So you remember this formula, then substitute that formula here. Maximum bending moment is equal to M is equal to W L square by 8. I want to find this W. I want to find this W. So I'm writing that is 180 into 10 power of 6 is equal to W into what is the L square here? L is nothing but how much? L is nothing but how much? L square is nothing but. So please try to get that value now here. L square. L square is nothing but 4 square. So divided by 8 here. Then we are getting the required value. Okay. That is W square is 4 into, or that is meters, 10 power of 3 whole square divided by 8. This is in terms of meter, millimeters. I'm going to convert it. So now, what is the value of small w now? I got it. Small w is equal to 90 kilonewton per meter. So this is the value of specific weight which is acting on the can simply support beam which is subject to uniformly distributed load. All of you got it or not? All right. So I want to give one more problem on this one. So please uh, try to give the answer for this now. So here is also whatever the problem is given, we can use only one relation, that is m by I is equal to sigma b by y is equal to, that is m by I is equal to sigma b by y is equal to how much E by R. This is the basic equation we can use to calculate any value, whether it is R value, whether it is sigma b value, whether it is m value, whether it is I value. We can find any one. We can find it very easily. Is it right or not? So I want to give one more problem. Please try to give the answer now. So here, one cantilever beam is given. This is another example problem, which is subject to a point load of 6 kilonewtons, which is having a cross section of a rectangle. That is, this is 80 mm and this is 120 mm, and the length is not given. And the length is not given. And here maximum bending stress is given, that is equal to 40 megapascals is given. 40 megapascals is given. So this is the data which is given to you, that is a maximum bending stress not exceed 40 megapascals, and depth of the section is 80 mm and width of the section is 120 mm. Now here my question is find the how much length of the beam is required for the stress. Find the length value here. Now, how to find the length value here? If it is a cantilever beam, I can write m by I is equal to sigma b by y. So I know the y value here. Y is equal to how much? D by 2. That is 120 by 2. That is nothing but 60 mm. I want to find the z value. I want to find the z value also. Z value is nothing but BD square by 6 here. B is nothing but 80 and D is nothing but 120 square divided by 6 here. Then I am getting the value of 192 into 10 to the power of 3 mm power 3. Now I'm going to sigma B is known, Y is known, and I is also known. Then I'm going to find the what is the value of L value here. So what is the maximum bending moment here? So maximum bending moment here, bending moment maximum is always equal to, in this case of cantilever beam, this force into this distance. So this is the moment in clockwise direction. This is support which gives the moment in anti-clockwise direction. Then I am writing here 6 into L. That is W into L. That is 6 is nothing but kilonewton. 6 into 10 to the power of, so newtons here. That is in terms of newtons into length is nothing but unknown, that is L. This must be is equal to this value. This must be is equal to how much? Sigma B into how much? Z value. Sigma B into how much? Z value. So here I am writing. So listen carefully. So 6 into 10 power of 3 into L is equal to, what is sigma B here? What is sigma B here? Sigma B is nothing but how much is given here? That is sigma B is given how much? 40 megapascals. So that is 40 megapascals. So into Z value. What is the Z value here? That is 192 into 10 power of 3. Then find the value of L. So I am getting the L value is 1280 mm. 1280 of mm. So this is the length of the beam is required for a load of 6 kilonewtons, which is under bending, having maximum bending stress not exceed to 40 megapascals. So in this way, we can calculate any value. So by using this equation, I can find M, I can find I can find sigma B, Y or E or R, whatever it is. Whatever the problem is given, we can solve very easy. So I want to ask one more question here. So this equation is valid for which beam? The beam is having a uniform cross section or varying cross section. Uh, this is valid for uniform cross section or varying cross section. Tell me. So if the area of cross section is varies from point to point for a beam, for example, this equation is valid for both cases also. But here, so when this beam is said to be uniform cross section, for example, I am taking one cantilever beam. I am taking one cantilever beam like this. See this one, cantilever beam. This is the cantilever beam here. So this is nothing but the length of, this is nothing but length of the beam, width of the beam, depth of the beam. So here, if you see from x equal to 0 to x equal to L, the area of cross section of the beam is same. If you apply the load here, if you take at this point, 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 bending moment is increases along the length of the beam. Moment is nothing but W into how much x. For example, if you take one point here, which is a distance of how much x here, moment is nothing but W into x. When x is goes on increases, when axis goes on increase, bending moment is also increase. So bending moment is maximum at the support, then the component is also goes to fail at the support. So I want to maintain the bending stress at every point is constant. That means stress is not same at all points, then the beam automatically will face at which the stress is maximum. If you maintain the stress every point is constant, then the beam never goes to fail. Or you get my point or not. So I want to maintain stress at any point, at this point, at this point, at this point is constant. Then the beam is said to be uniform strength of the beam. So here we are going to study about so how to maintain uniform strength of the beam without failure. How to maintain strength at every point is same along the length of the beam. So here, what is the moment at this moment is not same at every point along the length of the beam. So moment is always changed with respect to x value in this case, so that where the maximum moment is there, at that point the beam is goes to fail. So that I want to design the beam without failure, and I want to maintain the strength of the beam is uniform along the length of the beam. That is moment of resistance or bending moment is same at every point along the length of the beam is same. That is resting power is same. So for example, if you take this is the beam which is like this, and this is the beam which is like this. And which case the beam is more strong. If you observe this case, this is x equal to 0 here, x equal to L here, x equal to 0 here, x equal to L here. So here the area of cross section is goes on varies or not. Here area of cross section is remains constant. So here is area of cross section is constant. Area of cross section is not constant. So what is the difference between these two now? In which case, so in which case the beam is having uniform strength here. So here the beam is having maximum stress here, so the beam goes to fail here. So fail at this point now. So I want to design the beam at that point without failure, so that if it fails, I'm going to provide more material to increase its strength. So if you see the diagram, I'm increasing the material here to increase the strength of the beam, so that where the failure occurs at that point or where the stress is maximum, at that point the material goes to fail, so that where the stress is maximum at that point we are going to provide more material, then the material never goes to fail. So that the if you compare this beam and this beam, so among these two beams, this beam is more strong when compared to this one. So this is uniform cross section, this is varying cross section. So if you want to design the beam with heavy loads, so for example, if you want to design this beam having uniform cross section, where we can use this such type of beams which are having uniform cross section, these beams are subject to smaller loads. These beams are subject to smaller loads, and design is based on bending stress. Design is based on maximum bending stress. Listen carefully what I am saying here. So when the beam is subjected to a smaller loads, then we can maintain the area of cross section of the beam is constant entire the length of the beam. Then the beam is never fails. Okay. Now here, if the beam is subject to heavier loads, heavy loads. So heavy loads, then what happened here? When the beam is subject to heavy loads, the design is not based on maximum stress. The design is totally based on rigidity. Rigidity. The totally based on rigidity. So I know the equation M by I is equal to sigma B by Y is equal to how much? E by R. So here I'm going to equate this one. So I'm writing here sigma B is equal to E into I, or we can like that, or I can equate these two also. I'm going to equate these two, then I'm getting like this. See this one. I'm getting like this. So here M by I is equal to, so E by R, that implies M is equal to E into I divided by R. So E into I is named as flexural rigidity. E into I is named as flexural rigidity. So depending on this rigidity value, I'm going to design the beam which are having varying cross section, which are subject to heavy loads. So here, what is the, I can vary the area, but in area, for example, if you take area of cross section, so for example, if you take a rectangular beam, if you take a rectangular beam, this is the width and this is the depth. So how many possibilities here? How many possibilities here? Any doubt? Anybody have doubt on this one? Please ask me immediately now. So I will give the clarification. Somebody message to me, please. So here, if you take any rectangular beam here, if you take any rectangular beam here, it is having two dimensions, width and depth here. So if you take a width and depth, so how many possibilities to change the area of cross section of the beam? So there are two possibilities to change the area of cross section of the beam. I can vary the width. I can put the depth is constant. I can vary the width here. This is the variable and this is constant, or this is a variable, this is constant. So only two possibilities are here to change the area of cross section of the beam. So here I can vary the width and depth is constant. I can vary the depth and the width is constant. So here two possible to change the area of cross section of the beam for heavy loads, which is designed on the basis of rigidity. So here uniform cross section of the beams, so we can use where the beams are subject to smaller loads, and the design is totally based on maximum bending stress. When the beam is subject to heavier loads, design is totally based on maximum bending moment or rigidity here. Or you got my point or not? And the area of cross section of the beam is goes on varies. Okay. All right. So if you have any doubt on this one, please ask me. I will give you a clear explanation on this. So here I want to give it you one more thing. So before going to explain all these things, how to design the uniform cross section of the beam, I want to give one small more. Do you have any problem? Please message me. Do you have any problem? Okay, right. So here I'm going to explain to you. So that is nothing but a composite beam. So composite beam. After that, I'm going to explain a uniform strength of the beam. So what is meaning of composite beam? It is made of two or more different materials. So both are rigidly fixed here. Then the beam is always named as composite beam. So listen carefully here. So for example, I am taking one beam, which is cantilever beam, which is made of two different materials. So this is the cantilever beam, which is fixed at one end, other end is free. Both are made of different materials, which is subject to a point load at its free end, which is subject to a point load at its free end. Now here, so this is the cross section of the beam, which is in the form of rectangular. This is one and two, and we are applying the force here. So here I'm going in the gate examination or any competitive examination, they're asking questions like this. First one is nothing but what is the total moment of resistance? What is the total moment of resistance of this composite beam? So if you want to find the total moment of resistance of this composite beam, this moment of resistance is nothing but M1. This moment of resistance is nothing but M2. Okay. So what is total moment of resistance here? M1 plus how much? M2. But we know that what is M1 and M2? So M1 is M is nothing but sigma B into Z. or we can write M1 is equal to sigma 1 into Z1 and M2 is equal to sigma 2 into Z2. So I can write here sigma 1 into Z1 plus sigma 2 into Z2. So this is the value of total moment of resistance of a composite beam. They will ask. So here, what are the unknown values? Sigma 1, sigma 2, Z1 and Z2. So here, if you take this point is nothing but, so where the two materials are contact to each other. Where the two materials are contact to each other. So when you apply the force in this direction, what type of stress developed here? Compressive. What type of stress at the bottom of this bar one? Tensile. What is the type of the stress at the top of the material to compressive? So here there must be a tensile, there must be a compressive. Tensile in bar one, compressive in bar two. If you apply the force like this, or get my point or not? So here at this point, at the point of contact between the two materials, there must be two types of strain. One is nothing but tensile strain, one is nothing but compressive strain. So I want to write one relation between the two strains. So at the point of contact between the two materials, the two strains are equal. That is tensile strain must be is equal to compressive strain. Tensile strain is equal to how much? Compressive strain. So what is the tensile strain here? So epsilon 1 is equal to epsilon 2. What is epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 here? According to your Hooke's law, so according to your Hooke's law, that is epsilon is equal to sigma by E here. Then epsilon 1 is equal to sigma 1 by E1 and epsilon 2 is equal to sigma 2 by E2. Then I'm going to substitute here sigma 1 by E1 is equal to sigma 2 by E2. That implies sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equal to E1 by E2. Then E1 by E2 is nothing but M. M is called modular ratio. M is called modular ratio. So if you want to find the sigma 1 and sigma 2, then we can use this relation. Sigma 1 is equal to M into how much? Sigma 2. So this is the relation between these stresses. So if you know another relation between the sigma 1 and sigma 2, then we can solve those two relations. Then we can find the sigma 1 and sigma 2 very easily. Now here I want to give it you one more point. This is the second point. First point is over. That is nothing but M is equal to sigma 1 Z1 plus sigma 2 into Z2. So 2 points is clear on composite beam. And third one, I'm going to write one more relation. So please take care about that relation. So this is the beam. This is the neutral axis. So this is the point. This is the point. If you take from the neutral axis in this direction, if you take at any point above the neutral axis, what about the strain here? So y is goes on increases. What about the strain? So here stress is maximum, strain is also maximum. Here is stress is zero, strain is zero. So y is directly proportional or strain is directly proportional to y. Strain is directly proportional to how much? Y. So I can write here epsilon, this one is third point, we can remember it. Epsilon 1 divided by epsilon 2 is equal to y1 divided by how much? Y2. This is the relation between the strains and the y1 and y2. Y1 and y2 is nothing but a distance of any point from neutral axis of bar 1 of bar 2. E1 D2 is nothing but strain in bar 1 and bar 2. Sigma 1 sigma 2 is nothing but stress in bar 1 and bar 2. So I can find these strains, I can find these stresses by using these three relations. After finding the stress and strains, I'm going to find I'm going to substitute the stresses in this value. I'm going to find what is the total moment of resistance of the composite beam. Or you got my point or not? So here also I can convert these strains in terms of stresses also. How to convert in terms of stresses here? Okay, I am converting here sigma 1 by E1 divided by sigma 2 by E2 is equal to Y1 by Y2. Then it implies I am writing sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equal to E1 by E2 into Y1 by Y2. So this is the relation between sigma and Young modulus and Y. So here E by E1 by E2 is nothing but which one now? Modular ratio. So I can use another relation here. I can use the third relation. So listen carefully. That is sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equal to E1 by E2 into Y1 by how much? Y2. Or we can write in place of M1 by Y2, that is nothing but M here. So these are the three relations we can use to solve the problems which are given in composite beam under bending. I'll give the problems on this one in the tomorrow class, and I will also explain about how to design the beam which is having uniform strength. If you want to maintain the uniform strength, so we are going to vary the area of cross section. Then there is two possibility to vary the area of cross section. That is, we can vary the width and we can vary the depth of the section. I will give the explanation very clearly how to uh, find the shape of the beam is required for uniform strength along the length of the beams, right? So please remember these three equations very easily. We can solve any problem which are given in any competitive exam. So here topics are in bending stresses, listen carefully. Bending stresses in uniform cross section of the beam, bending stresses in varying cross section of the beam, bending stresses in symmetrical bodies, bending stresses in unsymmetrical bodies. So these are the way of analyze the bending stresses. So whatever you take the topic, so only one equation is required. That is nothing but I'm going to write it here. This is the equation. That is m by I is equal to sigma b by y is equal to E by R. Or you got no point or not? By using that equation, we can find any value. So in our GATE examination problem. So please take care about the points which are given to you. So if you have any doubt, please send to me to my number also. I will give the clarification to all of you now. Okay. Right. So now I'm going to close the class up to this point. So tomorrow I will give the more explanation about the remaining topics. I will give more problems on the this topic according to your gate point of view and according to your IE's point of view. Also, I will give some problems. After that, I will start with the shear stresses and beams. That will also take some time. I will give the very clear analysis of shear stress beam. After this completion of this analysis, I will give how to draw the bending stress distribution for symmetrical section, for unsymmetrical section. I will give it to you how to draw it, uh, and I will give how to find the neutral axis for unsymmetrical section. I'll give one or two problems on this. Then you will get the good knowledge on the bending stress and beams. Then we can solve any problem which is given in GATE examination. Okay, right. So thank you very much to all of you to support up to this time. So please take care about my concepts. So if you have any doubt on any topic, please ask me immediately or please send me any message if you are follow it or not. Okay. Right. Thank you very much to all of you. So tomorrow we'll meet